is up, YouTube? This is now timing for another exclusive episode here in the TCG Party Podcast. And no, I'm not driving. I just got this one a-hole driving behind me. Beep, beep, back up. But hey, guys, here we are. We got a lot of good guests here today because we only have one little thing to talk about. Just one bitty little thing. And it's Banlist time, baby. It's alright. Today's biggest target is the DBS Super Card Games official ban list that we've been waiting for weeks. And by us, I mean mostly these clowns here. Anyway, let's get started here, of course. We got our good guests here. We have the genius himself, Yeovani.
Vegix is still alive. 4,000, Alex.
We got Cameron G.
The five-time. Say no more. That's all I got.
You say 5 times, you want to go up to 3? Okay, genius. We got driving in the damn background. Hide your kids, hide your wives, guys. He's back. It's Noel.
I'm amazing.
And today we got 2 special guests. We got here is Dylan.
What's up, beautiful people?
And we have William.
What's up? Your local angry invoker player pissed about the ban list.
Exactly. So before we start, Dylan, William, and welcome to the show. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
I mean, Dylan is a returning guest from Team Ellipsis from the DBS podcast.
Yeah, I was on this a year ago. Come on, man.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that was from somewhere that I can't remember because I seem to forgot about that channel.
You know, Bandai didn't.
That's
I'll
true.
tell you that.
That's because you kept shoving it down their throats, and I'm proud of you for that.
You know, it takes hard work to do these things. Anyway.
But William is basically, I guess he's new here. So William, let us know about yourself. Who are you, and why are you here?
Well, I'm basically one-trick invoker main. I played invoker since like set 9, like when it got fully released. I'm currently a retired DBS player. I've been dabbling in other card games. I'm just here to talk about how shitty Bandai is, how stupid this ban list is because they hit the wrong stuff for invoker at least.
All right, we're going off with a great start, guys. Great job, and we got a good player here. All right, guys. So let's not keep our audience waiting. So let's just go ahead and start reading out the ban list. So we have about now 4 ban cards, 4 limited cards, and 8 errata cards.
They really went over the top with the erratas.
At least they were thinking about it and were preparing things before the set's revealed or the set's releases. So let's get started. Our first card being banned is Beerus Godly Majesty.
The free 15K is now gone.
This card came around in set 8. It was a good card that you can play around, tech around for other great green decks. I sometimes used to tech this around when the Clash of Fates Frieza Structure deck came, when I didn't have most of my cards completed, but it was not a bad card. It was pretty decent in use, but with the new upcoming green set, upcoming release in DBS, it had its moments to be known it's going to get hit sometime soon.
I mean, Vidal sure could have used this card.
Yeah,
So.
I mean it's kind of sad because like it's one of those cards, and there's another card that's on the list we're gonna get to that like it really helped enable some like cheaper like pile style decks just because it was easy to get a hold of and it was just good cheap free value, but it's understandable. Like it's in line. They're trying to change what the game is to a certain degree, and I think it's reasonable. At the end of the day, it's not something to lose sleep over.
I mean, is there a cheap aggro deck anymore?
I mean, you could play like basically that cycle, right? You could play like a red deck, with some negging. After image plays like one hit wonder, pitch beers for cost off of like.
I mean, if we're playing a cheap red deck, peel off anyone? I mean, And
Yeah,
that's
like that decks like that, or if you go all the way, what you call, um, just anything that you can use, like the Bardock Overwhelm in, or the Toa Overwhelm, like the ones that are just draw one, pitch one, that Go Tanks is draw one, pitch one. Like those are just really cheap, easy to get a hold of cards. You get the beers for free off of that. If you just want to play a cheap, low to the ground, get a couple free swings a turn type of deck, like it's just a good enabler for that type of stuff. But when you have a more solid archetype able to abuse that, or a generic pile leader like Launch, because I think Launch is probably why that card got hit. In addition to the upcoming stuff, like you know, it just pushes things that are already at a certain level. It helped out a lot of things that were lower power level, but it pushes things that are at a higher level to just that little bit too much. So
I, I mean, I've always said the free 15K is kind of broken, but don't we find it a little interesting that Mercenary Tau is still at 4 and Beerus is banned?
you're talking about the one that if they have three things on board, then they get
Yes,
to play it. Well,
yes.
because that you have to set that up. Beerus is literally you could pay costs. Like technically they're not costs because like of like technical wording and things like that, but they're just costs at the end of the day. You can pitch it for costs for other cards and like get it
I
for
mean,
free.
because if you're saying that, I mean, Belmont, who's, I think that's a card we're going to talk about later on. I think it's a future card that you'll see on the ban list due to some different reasons.
I think
But
there's less reason to hit those kinds of cards now because you have less those cards all ask you to have free bodies, bodies on board. So now that there's less bodies on board when you do
I
that
mean,
stuff.
that's not so hard because you could just have two, one drop, double striker or crit guys, and then play Napa super combo. You got three in beers. I mean, and Belmont in hand. It's
Yeah,
not. It's not
it's
hard.
not too hard, but the thing is that like you can make a play like okay, say for example you have draft box go 10. It's a dual attacker basically. You pitch Beerus for cost. You pay no energy, and you got two bodies on board. You only got to pay energy for one body, for one of those 15Ks that we're just talking about. So you just literally got 5 damage worth of potential, and then a Belmont on top because of Beers. So Beers took that play that you was just talking about, like putting three bodies on board that you paid one for. It was a 3 mana play to a 1 mana play. So like the economy that Beers allows for in certain scenarios, like it pushes it just like over the edge. Just
I
ever
mean,
so it's very borderline. It's very
Okay.
borderline is what I'll say.
All right. If I may interrupt, I do apologize. I'm gonna read some of the. I decided I'm gonna read some of these the the messages that Bandai left for reasons why they hit these cards. So that way we can have an understanding if we can agree, disagree, or find a reason to why we should comment or reply or countermeasure what they're pretty much are offering on the table. So for the reason for Beerus' ban says that this card can easily create offensive pressure without energy and mitigates the cost of other skills. Okay, who?
that sounds fair.
I think that was a statement, blending up Bandai's ban list, chugging it down, and taking a shit out of it.
I guess I was gonna edit that out, but I guess not. Thanks, no, thank you, Noel, you genius, you. If not, then who the hell did that?
What?
Yep, it was, yep, Noel's to blame. It's always Noel.
I
What
mean,
happened? What I?
Exactly,
exactly.
exactly.
I don't think he's ever played Beers in a deck either, so it couldn't be him.
No, no.
Oh,
All right, but Noel, let's hear your opinion. What are your reasons about beers being banned, and is it good or bad in your opinion?
um, the reason they gave for banning him is very reasonable. I can understand why they do that. In terms of in terms of play, I really didn't see it get played often outside of the the aggro Majin Buu Black deck, and then now launch. But besides that, the deck really wasn't. I mean, the card really wasn't used that well, or not that well. It was just
I
very.
mean, you could blame Reboot Gohan, the mono green version, in place 4.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but the leader itself is just straight up busted. So it would the deck wouldn't care if they lost that card. So
I mean,
whatever. Kind of irrelevant.
reboot Gohan. I
My
think the
my
overall.
boy, my boy, my child, one of
Yeah,
my 4 favorite leaders of all time. Keep going.
it it was. I mean, it was the best card by itself in the game, and I think the whole overall theme of this list, like to give it an overview before we get too deep into it, is they wanted to turn. They just wanted to no longer. They wanted to reduce the turn two potential. They don't want the game to be a turn two game.
Wait,
They just don't.
are we going
So
straight to
are
the
we?
Gohan card yet, or are we just gonna just talk about that quick already?
No, we can go to the Gohan card, but it kind of lends the thought: are we shifting away from Yu-Gi-Oh style game back to a Magic the Gathering type of pace?
Okay. Let's ask the newcomers here. So let's start with Dylan. Dylan, what are your thoughts with the Beerus ban?
So from a game design perspective, when you have a mana-based game, having free play creatures or battle cards is always just problematic. So like Beerus intrinsically was always going to be a problem. I played multiple of it in the launch deck, like creating a 15k body for free. Like discarding a card isn't actually a cost. You know what I mean? Like it's not a problem. It was always something on like if I had a personal like wish list of stuff that should get banned for game fixing the game, that among other like free battle cards would be on there.
Okay. And William, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think free play should be allowed in this game. When I was back in set 9, remember Turles, the one that could dual attack and 15k body? Just
Yep.
free play
Rest in
enables free play just
Mellow.
enables too much advantage for a player in this game. Like we're playing off mana, like mana doesn't mean as much anymore as it used to, but still being free and just a 15k body on board, it's just insane. And also being 3 energy, you could feel into a successor really easily. Future battle cards that may require bodies on board to play itself would also exploit it.
All right. Okay. And before we get to the next card, do you think this card should have been ever errata instead of being banned, or limited?
It would
So
have been limited to 1.
I
Not
think
to,
I think that whole cycle of cards, because it's part of a cycle of cards, if they limited them or errated them to be restricted to their color. So, I mean, I think Beerus and some of the other decks outside of just green is, again, one of the things that pushes it over the edge. So, like, you don't see one hit wonder out, which is I was like, oh, they got rid of Beerus, but not one hit wonder. But you don't see one hit wonder outside of red decks because like other colors don't neg, but every color discards. So I think that's, or every color has access to black and black can discard for you. So like I think that's part two of like the versatility of the card that made it just like you might as well get rid of it.
yeah, I personally just hate limits and erratas. Like I think they're atrocious for the game.
But yeah, I agree with that too. Like erratas are good.
Erratas are the worst thing that you can do in like the attempt to fix stuff, and then limiting copies just feels worthless to me. Like limiting is effectively banning. It's the only time we've limited a card and it's worked and seen play still is Cold Blood Bust.
No,
I
unyielding.
mean,
Well,
Unyielding
unyielding should have just been banned. That was just them
Yeah.
fucking up.
I mean, I
They should've
agree
been-
with that. Yeah, that's one thing with erratas, but I think limited is okay because at least you're playing the cards. It's just not as worse. But some stupid cards like unyielding, for example, or flute, like those cards that are limited, or one of them that got to be limited then banned. Should probably never existed in my perspective because then at the time when the game was still getting started and it was around its fourth set, it's already busted as hell. And it's already to the point that yeah, we're taking this game to the next level when you're just basically adapting the game further like any other card game too fast, and it makes it problematic for every player base. So
Yeah, so like I don't know, man. Like when it comes to limiting cards, like if a set releases and something is powerful, and then like they address it and they're like, oh, we should probably fix this, limit it to 1. That way we can still gather data on it. That feels fine to me. But the 4 cards that were limited this set, we have plenty of data on of them all being extremely good cards. So they should have just been hit. Like there's no reason to keep them at 1.
All right.
I mean, yeah, we can talk about that when you get to limits, but I
Yeah.
have some thoughts on that.
All right. So I know I know we're gonna do it to the next card, but we'll just get straight to the card that Gio wants to talk about. So I'll just do it, get over it, so we can get to the next 2 bank cards. All right. So our next card, and Gio is gonna have a long freaking talk about it. Father Son Kamehameha Goku and Gohan Return Reboot has now been banned. The reason this leader card has demonstrated the ability to consistently win both best of 1 and best of 3 games in 2 turns.
You know, I knew this would happen. Actually, I mean, I thought to be going into it, I was going to lose Vegix to be banned, and Gohan was going to be alive. So I figured one of the 2 were going to be alive. But, or you know, it's. I'm going to bring an interesting point up to this, and I think it probably should be banned. I've played it since it came out in Set 9. I love the leader to pieces as much as I love the Kaba leader from the Expert deck, the Skillless Goku deck from Set 6, Vegix from Set 10. Those are all my favorite decks I've played. But I'm going to bring up an interesting point. Yeah, he should be banned. Like, if they're taking the game away from being this fast-paced aggression that it was, he fit perfectly fine. He was a great answer to Red Brawly when that deck was, like, basically the deck. He could compete with that deck. And, but I'm going to bring up this point, and they touched the deck on this, but Majin Vegeta is kind of just almost as impressive as Gohan. And I always said that Gohan, no matter what, best of 1, best of 3, it didn't really matter. You could still topple the deck because they need to draw answers. The fact that the Majin Vegeta deck, and I playtested that deck since before it came out in that set, and I feel it's not as good because Gohan just does everything for you, but like as a deck, it was just more explosive. The fact he's hit it to turn 3, there'd be times I kill people on turn 3. It would be interesting if people start going to that deck because it's a very fast-paced, very aggression. It's good in best of 1, and in best of 3 now. We don't know what the landscape is outside of people shifting to Blue Baby, but I could see that being one of the premier aggro decks coming up on the format. I could see people testing, Gogeta Xeno, the reboot Mass Saiyan leader. We can have a different format on our hands. And, playing this deck, since it's just a leader card, but playing, it's literally 50 cards and the leader. Great times. I'm sad to see it go, but I had to deal with seas of Invoker decks, because you saw that, Kevin, back then. The locals back then was 14, 15 Invoker decks. And like 1 Jiren deck. Like, you know how hard it is to go through all that back then. And then, and then Surge Goku came out, but it's people just can't stand losing to aggro in this game. And
well, because your type of aggro just it's like, I think Father Son Kamehameha, Goku, and Gohan should exist. It shouldn't be banned. I think they should have taken away Feet Kamehameha, because defending against Father Son Kamehameha, it's just, if it didn't have critical, it would have been fine. If we get 3 cards, if we get 6 of our life into our hand, that gives us 6 more options to defend against Father Son's returns. I don't even care if it's turn 2 or turn 3 killable. It's very rare for turn 2 you die to that because you're playing stupid. But
unless you didn't draw negates.
Unless you didn't draw negate, that's very unlucky of you.
I've killed people through topos. I've killed people through after image. I've killed people through somebody tried to Nimbus me. They died the turn they did that.
Yeah.
I killed somebody through a dormant. It's all about the sequencing of that deck for a lot of the things because you just couldn't pick up Gohan and I mean some people could, but like a lot of people, like you can't just pick up the deck and just recklessly burn your life and just kill somebody because they were always fishing for the negates in the second game. I remember somebody cited in 14 negates game 2 and 3
Hmm.
in a best of 3. 14 negates they cited it. I'm like, bro, this is wild.
The only
Uh,
the only downside about Gohan is if you're like our friend Thomas that one time when you fought him back in the at Cool Stuff. When
oh,
you it,
he died on one energy. Yeah.
Yeah, but like here's the thing: if you misplay once against a Gohan, you pretty much are effed already because you have to literally protect yourself in a way where you can't mess up the play. Because the Gohan players like Geo already can tell how the deck can work, even if they don't see a card that's not supposed to be a deck that's supposed to be like a good tech. If you mess up one play, it's already game over, and Gohan already is going to take the biggest massive lead in the tournament circuit. So you're gonna have an issue with the Gohan leader, and that's why it's pretty much one leader that I think it should be banned for this reason. If it's the deck, if it's a leader, no matter what kind of cards you're adding into it, doesn't who cares if it was a core deck? Who cares if it was a blue green deck? If it's a deck that's powerful enough and the leader and it runs well with the leader, and it's supposed to help you during against the turn 1 to 3 turns, then you have to understand that Gohan is just something that needs to really not be around in today's DBS circuit. Because with the new adapting cards coming out, there'll be new tech cards you can add to it, and it can be even stronger, and it probably won't even leave the tier 1 circuit.
I mean, the thing is that you could have killed Feet, but then Gohan play. I already had you could just play the Frieza crit combo card, and then you start playing Cell Kamehamehas, and you still hit the 40-50 triple strike crit range anyway. So, like, it really wouldn't have mattered if the Feet Kamehameha would have been gone or whatever. Because
Yeah.
there's already another card to take its place.
Yeah, but you're still spending one energy, but you're getting 5k instead of 15. 10k is one super combo essentially, and you're just only matching up with it. You're committing a super combo and another card to get out of that. That's 2 cards compared to just,
But you still waste cards even on the 5K.
yeah. It's still you still waste cards, but it's not as bad.
No, it's definitely not as bad, no. But, I mean, Majin Vegeta playing the crit Frieza card is also kind of oppressive, too, because, like, you're not expecting a 20k double strike crit at you either. So, like, and that's one of the ways Majin Vegeta can change up, going back to playing a card that it originally debuted on the list. But anyway, that's for later on.
Okay.
But, Gohan, very fond memories, and Kevin has my store championship list that I earned an invite to. So I'm always gonna love that deck for what it is.
That's true.
You know.
You guys can always check out the deck profile he provided on the channel. You can check out what cards he had to use, including some of them that were borrowed from a friend. Those were cards he played, and he got third place with that deck, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It was out of like 30 something or almost 40 people. So that was a fun day.
Let's ask the great Noel. Noel, your thoughts on Gohan's band?
I know his thoughts. He died turn 2 to that deck at his local in Utah multiple times. He probably is glad it's gone. So,
Best,
See, I heard.
band.
Try again, Noel. We're having a little.
Yeah, he said yes. Ban it. There we go.
There you go. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nothing else on Gohan, guys? We're all good with it? Well, not good. Good talk about it, at least.
I mean, it would be great if he would have been reprinted as a secret rare leader.
Well, then
That
that'll
was
be his
bad.
like his third. That'll be his like his second. Well, sorry, his second reprint. And
Well,
then,
yeah, but not as something playable though. You got me like just as an art,
I mean, come on,
For
Joe.
some-
Do you really want to kill something that good?
Nah, no, but proceed.
All right.
And
They pretty much laid it out, man. Like they trying to turn two. They're off.
They're literally saying it's a cancer leader. Don't play it.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you can't play. It's not don't play it. It's you can't play it.
Exactly.
It's a little bit different.
Okay. So our next card being banned is Pan Great Ape Whisperer from set 8. The reason for its ban is that this card limits the design of yellow battle cards by enabling excessively powerful interactions. For example, the promo Omega Shenron Ultimate Shadow Dragon to create an oppressive play pattern.
Yep. R.I.P.
Me,
Yellow Baby.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great that, like, I mean, Kodo Crew and Sandy Cater got 3 of these cards banned. Let's just be very real. Sandy and his aggro version of himself and just dominating with these aggro decks. The pan was in there for restanding heartfelt plea and killing you. Imagine. You know, I'm glad that Salzino got touched too on this list because there was a yellow Brawly deck that I don't know who's coming up with it, but it played the Pan and the Salzino to like Pan could restand it, and then the yellow Brawly leader before the errata could restand it. Yeah, Pan's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, I figured it
I
was
mean,
just them future proofing, which made sense.
it was a toxic card. It's an old card from a different time. Like the
I
free
mean, I
play wasn't
mean,
as egregious back then. The economy of the game is a lot more fluid, and the archetypes are stronger in general. So like,
that the baby the Vegeta baby aggro deck that played that card played the Bardock Resolutes. Let's see, there's some other cards forgetting, but damn, what other decks? There's just so many. Oh, the Sin aggro is probably why this card's banned now.
yeah, no, absolutely, it's absolutely snag.
I remember seeing that deck when it first came out. I'm like, ooh.
That's what they said right in the description. It's because of the promo Sin, the way it works with the Sin aggro deck. Like, yeah,
I mean,
that's why the card shot up. It was like out of the blue, it shot up to like $20 because like Sin aggro was playing it when Sin aggro was when we were deep
mm,
in the best of one meta. Webcam was like the only option.
yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting because they hit Salzino and the Pan on the same thing. I mean, it's funny because like with Reboot Gohan, the leader was going to kill you. You could see it coming. You never knew when they drew the Spell Seeker rare, but they always drew it when they needed it.
Yeah, and the thing is too with that deck is that is that when it went off, it was a turn 2 deck, and that's just their like any like it's the other stuff like is borderline, but like the turn 2 stuff, and like the when we get to our next ban, like we'll talk about that too because there's a turn 2 effect of that as well. So it just boils down to what happens. I think the main thing is they've been printing a lot of like strong floodgates / negates, but you got to get to, it's a turn. It's are you deciding if you're going into the offense or defense phase on like turn 2 / 3? So like half of those negates don't even matter against the high roll turn 2
Well,
decks.
the thing is do we even need the negates anymore after the ban list?
Yeah. You still want them because they provide versatility into like how you're gonna plan out the rest of the game as it goes into
Uh,
like
uh, no, yeah, you still need them. I think
yeah
they still exist. A key point for the Reboot Gohan leader, the Battle Evolution negates were designed specifically to target that leader, and probably the best negate they could have ever made to help against that. And even that wasn't enough. Need
no.
to make that point out there.
Well, we've got yeah, like one that at the end of the day, like that's why a lot of our floodgates are floodgates because like one swing, 2 swings, it's not enough.
No, I mean you just bait people to use their negates.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Especially early game because you haven't seen that much of your deck, so you're not holding. It's not just energy; it's that you also haven't seen that many cards yet.
It needed to go. But rip baby, like you said. So we're going to toss it off to Dylan. What do you think?
Oh God, are we still in the pan? Sorry.
Yeah, yes, we're still on the pan.
I got distracted. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like they're just being safe with the set 14 Hell Goku or whatever it's called.
I saw that. That was a good nickname.
Yeah, that deck is actually kind of cool, and there's just interactions with Pan and stuff, and like the Sin deck, like it made sense to get rid of it.
That yellow Goku deck reminds me of Vegex a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why you even want to bring Vegeta's name up when you know there you go right there.
Hey man, yeah, but the John Wick ain't dead. We'll get to that when we get to that. But but anyway, so we'll move on from Pan, unless you got something to say really about Pan.
I really don't have anything to say about that. That thing should have been dead.
All right, moving on.
What about you, Noel? Anything?
Nope.
All right, guys. Our final band card, and man, we are going to have a lot of negative feedback from this.
Rip Noel's heart.
From Draftbox 2, Universe 9, Assemble. This card got banned because in conjunction with the promo leader Mecha Frieza Resurrected Monarch has led to an incredibly powerful early game advantage. Banning this card will significantly reduce oppressive play patterns for this leader card.
Mecha should have been banned. I'm just
Well, that's too damn bad!
we're just gonna say what needs to be said. I mean, that card is a really good card. Don't get me wrong, and getting the free chip heal off of that is great, but Mecha should be banned. No further questions, Your Honor.
No. Now you see, Bandai actually did the right thing for once. See, they, like you said, Joe, they listen.
They do.
They
I talk about Beerus in a lot of these podcasts.
They
do.
U9 players, and that's not my problem. They needed to get hurt because their cards were completely stupid. You know, Mecha Frieza is just getting started. It's bringing the comeback. Now, Gohan needed to get banned. It had its fun. It needed to get the hell out of here. It's time for Mecha Frieza to take in another challenge. It's come to what it's done. You know, it's doing its job. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say, guys.
The heel Kevin came out on that. We appreciate that.
You'll thank me one day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have Noel speak his mind. Noel, your thoughts.
I keep on rebooting leaders, stop making them straight out broke.
I mean, we have SS3 that's about to see play in the set, and that one's not broken, and Soul Striker is not broken. So, I mean...
Yeah, but we have reprints SS3, and he got really bad.
No, and the reprinted one's about to be pretty good.
You talking about Reboot SS3?
Yeah, Reboot SS3.
It just got first place in the Vegas regionals like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, sorry, I don't pay attention to this game, so why do I care?
The leader's actually quite good, yeah.
Yeah, the leader's cracked,
You're still untapping 3 mana at the end of the turn. Like, that plus Galactic Buster's a little strong.
Yeah.
This is what happens when I listen to people say this one thing and then they say another. Oh, but let's move on, guys. That's the ban list. I'll repeat them one more time. Ban cards: Beerus Godly Majesty, Pan, Great Ape Whisperer, Father Son Kamehameha Goku Gohan, Universe 9 Assemble. Our next up on the list, guys, is...
Get it up out of here.
Exactly. Our next card sets is limited cards. And so here we go. Our first card from set 8, Super Saiyan 4 Son Goku, Our Heartfelt Plea. The reason for this card's limitations is because the design space of red battle cards and skills that increase power. When used in conjunction with cards such as from the EX16, Dark Broly Unbridled Destruction, this card can be played easier than originally intended. In order to mitigate this, they decided to limit this card. That's what they say in every sentence, but I just don't want to read that all the time. But yeah, that's what happened. So, your thoughts?
I'll go first on this one. The card's still really good. It's like a secret. It's a one-of. So it feels bad if they just draw it and use it against you. Because I'm sure there's still decks that will run this card. I don't think it's just gonna go away. But we won't. It's interesting. Will Dark Brawly still run it after the post ban? I don't think so. But red decks can still use this card, and it could be interesting.
I mean, rest in peace, man. Like, I love that card. I don't know why. But I'm surprised. I'm gonna be real. I thought for like the last like 3 sets it was gonna win.
Yeah.
Like it's much given what the game is right now. It's just like the game's gotten too fast. It going to one. I think that it's appropriate just because I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a secret rare, but also like it's still worse than a secret rare. You definitely need because it's not so much that when you see it it's good, but you have to see it on time. If you don't see it in the right timing, then it's just a brick. So if you want to play something that sacky, that's on you. Super inconsistent. Probably not in Dark Broly given the changes to Dark Broly, which we'll get to. But I don't know. I think it's good. It's worth a test, right? Just kind of like I think like uh
I mean,
anything else.
King Vegeta can run it. So there's always that.
That's true. That's true. So we'll have to see, but I think a limit is the right answer. It's one of those. I think the list on the whole, and we'll go further up the list, but that's a good one, honestly.
So I'm still in the camp that I think it should have just been banned. Since Heartfelt's release, I've always I have a list of the cards I hate the most in the game.
Oh, do
And
tell.
well, my number one is Mirror Creator Absorb because it knocked me out of 4 top cuts. No,
I mean, it's still around too.
I
Hey,
hate
man.
that. Yeah, on a
The
side
true
note,
secret rare.
I hate that card. I got knocked out of top 4 with it, and there was a Bandai rep at the event, and I walked over to them, and I was like, I need you to ban Mira. They're like, why? I was like, I've lost 3 top cuts because of this card, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, but not the point. Heartfelt. Every time I read it, I'm like, this card doesn't make sense. How do you get a free 30k triple striker that either draws 2 or forces your opponent to crit a life? That card is absurd, and it feels like a limited game. Like it goes back to I feel it's effectively banned. Like I'm not gonna play it in a deck where I can't guarantee I find it before I awaken because, like you said, it's a brick. Like if you're playing Dark Broly and you draw it turn 6 after you've awakened, like that feels like crap. I don't know.
Might as well take it on out the list.
Okay. Any remarks, Noel?
I think it's fine at 1. I agree with everyone. It's a brick if you draw into it too late. Whatever.
Smart words from the genius. All right. Our next card, guys, from set 10, Bardock the Resolute. The reason for its limitations: when used in conjunction with cards such as from Draftbox 3 Piccolo Jr., Eradicator of Peace, or 6 if you want to go with that, I don't know where it goes. This card leads to the oppressive early gameplay patterns in red aggro decks.
Red Brawley called, and we're gonna talk about him later. How he escapes the ban list, we'll never know. But people keep trying to convince me Red Green Launch is gonna be a deck after this ban list. I'm not convinced.
So
But
why do you think it won't be a deck?
well, it used Bardock the Resolute, Beerus, the Arrival package, Belmod. Use all these aggressive cards that Reboot Gohan would use as well, right? So when you have no Beerus, and when you have just one Bardock the Resolute in your deck, you're depending on Piccolo Jr. to set off that one of Bardock, right? So you're not getting that same free value that you did before with all those, I don't think they're oppressive. I think they're just aggro tools. Some people say they're very oppressive cards. And I guess, if beer is banned, I guess they are. But are you really going to waste 2 mana on the Piccolo Jr.? Yeah, you want to draw 2 cards. You want to burn them alive, right?
Listen, man, that is not.
That is not a waste of 2
That is
mana.
right. That is
No,
Okay.
but
look,
All right.
see, they addressed it. They
listen to
addressed
me.
it. Talking about they
Listen.
named Piccolo Jr. in the. Look, that's the issue card. They just don't want to hit it.
I was calling for them to ban that card. It's eventually going to get banned because it's too good. But here's the thing: for the launch deck, yes, you want to spend 2 mana, but I could play Vegeta Baby. I could play other leaders that summon that card too. My point is this: for this 2 mana, you burn in the life, you draw 2 cards, but you're not. You have to find some one of in your deck.
Listen, I'm just not going to play the card. Here's the thing. It's at 1. It's effectively banned for me. It'll be cute in some decks if you draw it, whatever. Like, if you're playing Red Broly and you can trigger it multiple times and whatnot, right? You have multiple ways to trigger it. And in my launch deck, which I will plan to be playing, because launch is going to be really good, because Piccolo Jr. is an insane card that maybe you just need to read 4 or 5 more times, because killing your opponent on 2 is a beautiful feeling.
It is, but I read. Believe me, Sandy showed. Yeah, Sandy actually killed me.
I have to tease.
Listen,
I have to tease you a little bit, otherwise it's not a genuine interaction.
That's fair.
Taught me to read. Sandy taught you to read, huh?
And Sandy killed me with the red green Vegeta Baby deck that eventually turned into this launch deck. We should give credit to where credit is due, I guess. But the thing is that sure, it's a very powerful card. I'm not disputing that. I think it should be banned. If I could pay 2, burn your life, summon Bardock the Resolute, then overrun Bardock, get a Beers and Belmont, I want the whole thing versus just playing the Pickle and getting a maybe one of Bardock. If you're understanding where I'm coming from. I want the whole shebang or nothing at all.
I mean, that's true, but it's still the Bardock's at 1 is better than the Heartfelt at 1 at the end of the day, because like the timing isn't an issue.
I mean, because
Bardock just comes up, like you'll find a way to do the damage, or you'll crit them. Like you summon Tao in that deck.
Is this
and Tao's a card that I think like Tao and Belmont, their names are on the ban list eventually. I think because like if they don't want us to have free plays, I think they're very good free play. Any of the free play cards in this game, I think have been.
I don't think they touched anything that's coming up. I mean, I don't think as far as bans and limits, did they hit anything that's going to be reprinted in the upcoming set?
Well, they reprinted U9 Assemble Battle Revolution. That's banned. I kind of figured.
Yeah, but they did that after it's banned. They haven't reprinted 10 or 11 yet, and they're not touching anything.
No, they haven't, and it's good. And we're about a month. It's in August or September that reprint is coming.
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean,
I do want to ask a quick question. Wasn't this card like errata or something when it first came out for a couple weeks?
Yeah, the Piccolo Jr.
No, the
Bardock.
No, the Bardock.
Yeah, because originally, I think it was more a ruling clarification than anything, because people were doing attacking with their leader, doing damage to their opponent, and being like, "Oh, you added a card from your life to your hand. Play Bardock."
Yes, that was amazing. Getting the free damage to kill somebody. I mean, they also said that Saiyan Kaba, since he gains the ability to double strike, wouldn't summon Bardock off of that too.
Oh
which
yeah,
I was like, wow.
I remember you freaking played that weird deck against me when Set 10 came out, Gio, and you were being such a dick about it.
What, Plea Baby?
Yes, Plea Baby, yes.
Yeah.
Most don't know about that Plea Baby. That whole Plea Baby deck gone now.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so I'll say this: go fuck yourself for playing that deck. Anyway,
good. Thank you, Bandai, for the memory.
Universe 3 got hit. We was upset.
That's not my.
Got rid of Universe 3.
Man, that's such a shame. It's like when Turles got banned. How much money did Noel have to spend on that?
I'd like to say.
I'm telling you, I paid. I don't want to talk about how much I paid, but I had just ordered foil Turleses. They got in the mail the same day the ban list came out. I'm like.
Oh, you sweet summer child. That's horrible.
Yeah, bro.
Just enter the simple plans of how could this happen to me?
I'd like to state this.
and I faded away. It's all gone.
I'd like to state that Universe 3 got erased. Well, hey, Universe 9, ta-ta, you're erased too.
Anybody gonna miss it? I mean,
It's all about. It's only about the two main guys. It's all about U7, which they have a lot of work with that, and U11. They really go.
Hey, sir, you forgot about U6, my good
U6
sir.
is garbage.
That's why I
Sir,
didn't. That's why I didn't say
now
it.
been offended. I have now been offended,
Caba's
sir.
trash.
No.
That's true. They need to retrain that leader so he's not.
Oh, I've already messaged Bandai about that actually and given my whole
Bandai,
suggestion.
ignore his messages. He's shoving it
No,
down your throats to shove it down our
no,
throats and then shove it
no.
down our ears. And then the people in the podcast going to be like, that's credible. Let's go ahead and type it. Let's make it official. Not doing that. No.
No, it's an amazing
Our
reboot.
next card. All right.
Bandai, just any card. Get out of the way. Get that out of the way, please.
I will say this: I messaged them to and I put this in the surveys to reprint Tag Team Gohan and Tag Team Trunks, and they did. So clearly, I do get listened to. I will say this.
And I will say this. Our next card is basically from Draft Box. Bergamo Ferocious Roar. The reason for this card's limitation, it was intended for board control in yellow decks. Using this card in conjunction with cards such as from set 13, the power of a Super Saiyan can lead to oppressive, interactive gameplay patterns. Yeah, I had a weird time reading this.
I mean, you don't even need power of the Super Saiyan. You just need some also Super Combo in your hand, and Bergamo's alive. So
that card's a piece of trash. I ain't gonna lie. They should. I'll get on Buddy's bandwagon. They should have just banned that.
Yeah, there we go.
They should have just banned that. Let's go.
Yo, I deadass have notes for this just to make sure I keep on track with what I mean. But like Bergamo the fuck is an effing problem from a design perspective. Why was this printed? Like,
yeah. Like,
2 mana, I tap you out. Like, why is that okay?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the U6 deck could have actually used this card in the deck?
Oh, man.
It still would have been trash. U6 is terrible.
I mean, the energy tapping is the reason why U6 has been restricted to not be able to be an updated deck. Like, energy tapping is just trash.
Yeah, it's a mechanic that shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't be able to tap your opponent out.
Hey guys,
it's a fantastic mechanic, sir.
Hey guys,
it's a problematic mechanic.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Hey guys, you ever heard of cancer? Forget about it. Bergamo, Ferocious Roar. Now that's
Do you want to play the game? Congrats, your energy is gone.
Like this game shouldn't have that or like energy destruction just based off the fact of like.
Oh, but wait. Now that you said energy destruction, we all know that set 7 Zamasu is going to get some broken ass support that's going to come out and warp things down the road. Don't worry.
Could be. I mean, set 7. I think a lot of the ways that they set up multicolor block is why there's just certain things that they're scared to print, just because or why certain archetypes are like fall behind, just because
I mean, keep going. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, you can't if you give them literally anything, like it's out the you know what I mean? They're jumping out the window with it.
I mean, are we going to get, University 11 Jaren support from set 9? Are we going to get red-green U-stick support from that, from TOP? Are we going to get Android blue-green support? Like, these are some of, the heavy invested...
Android support.
No, we got yellow.
In Battle Evolution, we got...
Battle Evo had support for blue-green androids.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, but that was just 16. I'm talking in general.
No, because they got a new Predator. They got a new
That's a weird sentence.
I also, that is true, but I find it interesting that there's other colors with new rulers, but the red one comes out for free. I found that interesting too.
Why was new ruler not on? I know that they're finishing up the rest of the cycle, but why was that card not touched? Or errata? I mean, I hate erratas, but a new ruler is the one that plays for free, right?
Yeah, it comes out for free if you have a red unison. Yeah.
Card's kind of kind of a problem.
It's busted.
It's like free play battle cards in a
You
game where you have mad
I
inspired.
mean, but
okay.
remember, Dylan, it warps himself away for the turn. There's the downside.
Oh,
You're talking to the guy that hates the overall mechanic.
I know. This is why we went there for that one.
I mean, well, that's the other thing too, is that they definitely, like, from a Bandai perspective, they did go ahead and do it. Like if Bergamo was not a draft box SR, it would be banned. It wouldn't be limited. It'd be banned.
I mean, they reprinted it too. Like it has a reprint.
Yeah,
on top of that.
That too on top of it. Like, but if it wasn't a draft box SR, like they do try to be considerate of people's value somewhat, but I think it's
yeah. Tell that to the people that own the Invoker deck or sell Xeno for 1,000.
I mean, if you paid 1,000 for your Xeno, you knew. You already know a card like that's that old, like they weren't gonna Cell was gonna get touched at some point. If you had any type of sense, you knew Cell was gonna get touched at some point, and that's why even pre-ban, while it hit the heights of 1,000, I was seeing it, have buy it now listings for 350. Like pre-ban, like every time Banlist season comes up, people are letting themselves Zenos go for like 300, 400 most, because they're like, get these away from me. It's a card that's always been destined to have something happen to it.
On a side note, I'm glad that Sensu Bean, Champa, and Kai did not get touched by this list.
Well,
for the love
while
of
we're
God.
talking about Cell Zeno, ain't we getting ready to talk about Eratas? We might as well get there while we're on it.
Well, not yet, because you guys forgot one more card for the limited list.
Limit?
That's right. From set 12, it's Drum Reign of Terror. Its reason for being limited is that this card has allowed the leader, King Piccolo, Demonic Rejuvenation, to have significantly more board control and defensive capabilities than anticipated.
Getting a free barrier blocker for free. Hey, man.
Drum was messed up. That was the last actual meta deck I played with King Piccolo, and I will miss that card.
Oh, that's a fun deck, let me tell you. For a deck that's like a mid-range, but it's a more aggressive kind of style. I mean, that's how I played it. It was a very fun deck, but, when they give us fun things like that, they always get hit. We called this here in our predictions to put him to 1. I love that Bandai justifies me actually saying that.
I mean, Drum basically puts you in a situation where they start you with 6 life because you have 8 copies of Drum. You basically have 10 life.
They have to get this deck support. I do think that if you hit the card, you got to give it something to balance it out.
Yeah, the deck might adapt, but I don't know if it's worth adapting it. Like, if it's worth bringing the deck into the next meta still.
I mean, why would you play that when you could play King Vegeta? Question.
Yeah, there's like a lot of things. If you want to play red, like the argument's like, why play that over Red Broly or Launch or King Vegeta? Like,
oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about Red Broly and how I think they absurdly messed up on that one.
I don't even think Red Broly's the issue now.
I don't think it's that bad. Yeah,
I think Blue as a whole. I think that like Blue Baby.
That's another deck that I have. That why the promo negate's not at 1 or something happened to that. I also have qualms with, because if you hit Invoker,
the Blue Baby players they just chill. But whenever they show up, if three Blue Baby players show up, you're seeing 3 Blue Babies in top 8. Like,
the thing is like if you hit Invoker for being non-interactive, that deck's also non-interactive, and
I almost made Blue Baby before I quit, but I was almost done with the deck, and I really saw a lot of potential in that deck, a lot more than it needs to be.
It's a very oppressive deck. That one that goes underrated by our community, and we'll see. It's the best blue deck going into this new format, and
exactly.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that it's either the best deck in the format or probably good, or like I think Gogeta Zeno is the other option for best deck in format. It's one of those two.
I play that. I play that deck, Dylan. I'm not convinced it's that good. Like I think it's very good. I can't. When I hear best deck in the format, I wonder.
It's the one drops because like one Royal Supremacy wipes your board.
It's not even that. The deck bricks. Like,
yeah, that too.
I've played it enough where I got the worst hands in the world. So I mean,
I mean, I don't know. I've got a couple of gold in the team who've been testing it routinely, and like, there's a cleaned up version of the list that hasn't bricked as terribly. It's pretty aggro. It's pretty solid, and like, it has a really good blue baby matchup because it plays all the counter hate cards like without issue.
Well, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And I suspect people will take the safe route and play Vegex, which has a lot of good matchups, plays Koichikai and stuff like that. But I mean, I think it's gonna take them. Like, I think Gogeta, because we've already seen the market go up on the Gogeta Xeno promos, and I think you'll see an uprise on that deck. I think it's a very explosive deck. I think it's a very good deck. Best deck in the format. I'm not ready to go there yet, because I can be convinced because I played it without the promos, with the promos online.
No, Gio, Vegex is still not number one. Shut up.
I'm not. It's tier 1, yes, but it's not the best deck. No, it's not. It's a good deck, but anyway.
All right. Any last words for Drum before we move on to our final sets of lists for the show?
I'll miss you.
I feel bad for all the King Piccolo players, and I hope that somebody takes the time to make the deck work if they do plan on playing it.
If we do show up our deck profile, we'd be glad to see it and see how well it does in major tournaments. All right. Now we enter the errata list, and whew, we're actually going to start off with William here. Our first card on the list, Catastrophic Blow. Its post-errata text is on the activated main. Limits 1 if you have a red-blue multicolored Son Goku card in play, or there are no battle cards in your battle area, deal 1 damage to your opponent. William, you have the floor.
It's stupid. Limit 1, like, we don't do enough damage to, like, get you down low enough to, like, if you're playing smart, you just don't take damage at all. You just chip away at us, because all we can do is just negate until, like, turn 2, we can do like 1 or 2 negates, like Instinctive Reprisal, we neg 10 on your leader card or a battle card, negate also. This is just completely unnecessary for us, because for Catastrophic Blow, you have to also have a lot of things line up, because if we play the 3-drop on turn 5, it's not protected, gets hit by a Charismatic Villain or something like that, or just a counterplay in general, like, we can't do anything about that. Like, even the 6-drop, it's not protected at all. We have no protection against it, and being just... Right now, the format's really aggro. You can kill people from turn 2 to 4, but now it's turn 2 is really non-existent for lethal. Turn 3 and 4, like, you can see Dark Broly just hitting us a bunch of times, draining our resources a lot. It makes us really hard. Like, when I play against Dark Broly, my hand gets excessively smaller and smaller, and I have to start pitching out key cards that I really needed for the late game. And just having just limiting 1 to Catastrophic Blow, it's not the worst thing we can do, because we have HOM 2.0. I feel like that's where we're going to go with this. We're going to play a more cycling heavy deck. We're going to start pitching extra cards faster and faster. This is not the worst thing that they could have done to us, but this is basically dropping Invoker from S tier to A tier now.
All right, and as an Invoker player and representing for all the Invoker players, how much does this really hurt everyone?
This bumps us down by 1 tier at least. Like, we heavily needed this because this is one of our aggro cards. Floodgates right now are so free. Like, you're looking at Violent Rays, Dormant Potential Unleashed. It kills our other option for HOM 2.0. Now people are going to actually, like, if you're not that much of like a high budget player, you're gonna have to play, like, the 6-drop and also the other 6-drop. But now you actually have to pay for Apex of Power, which is $1,000 card. Unless they reprint in the future, the Invoker scene is basically dead, because the higher end players, they don't want to play it because Burn isn't alive, and also Floodgates are out or just too free.
What about the Goku promo that was not seeing?
Yeah, Goku HM 2.0. The Floodgates stop it too easily. Like, you could restand an infinite amount of times, but if they hit you with Violent Rays, you can't do anything about it. If you hit with DPU, they're just going to take the initial triple strike, and they don't care about the other attacks, because it's not enough.
Freeze,
like,
the
we
charismatic villain has entered the chat.
Yeah, charismatic villain is just perfect
Heroin's
against.
lineage. Heroin's
Yeah,
lineage is
flying Nimbus,
responsible.
DPU, just any floodgate, anything that just stops it.
Yeah.
Because our just chain is really brittle, but at the same time very consistent. Like the only way I could see Invoker being good again, you have to give us a counter that stops an extra card for like 2 energy or 1 energy, and also maybe a new way to cycle cards even faster.
Oh, sorry. I just realized they have a list of reason why they eroded these cards. I do apologize, guys. I thought there was just some stuff in it. Mind if I read that part? Maybe we can, so that way you can continue on your explanation, or you probably got to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, so it says reason set 9's Ultra Instinct Son Goku limit surpass decks can often win games by activating multiple copies of this card, leading to interactive and repeated gameplay experiences with the Invoker archetype. That says therefore we decide to ride this card with the limit keyword.
So uninteractive, I say bullshit because we're waiting till turn 5 to play anything. Turns 1 through 4, we're extremely vulnerable. You guys get to do anything. You guys get to just double strength, crit us, multiple attacks, big body on the board. You establish everything. We're playing high cost energy battle
Hey,
cards, and also we're
bud.
playing high cost energy extra
Hey,
cards.
hey, bud. Hey, you're downplaying. I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah.
I just yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's just Invoker still is still going to be a decent deck. It could be. It's now considered like I believe it's now officially rogue tier, and this won't stop. Like Invoker itself as a core is extremely good. It just now needs 1 or 2 pieces to fix it.
Uh, and to follow up with this, as Invoker is the way you say is pretty good, the way it was until this errata. Earlier talking about the Son Goku, Son Gohan leader that got banned. What are your thoughts as an Invoker player playing against some Son Gohan leader players?
Against the Sun Gohan leader, if they go first, it's a struggle for us because playing with 1 energy is really hard. If you play with 2 energy, it's fine. Like you could play combination attack in game 2. Instinctive reprisal is a good way to uh, help out against Sun Gohan, but it's mainly a uphill battle for that.
I will say that I killed somebody through instinctive reprisal. I remember that. I was just saying that.
He killed me through instinctive reprisal while testing.
Have you fought Gio in his Gohan leader, William?
No, I've only fought. I only fought MDC over here.
Yeah. Yes. So, what was I gonna say? I've only ever lost to 1 Invoker player, and that his name is Justin Rios. This was all I have to say on that. So, I feel bad because it was like a really unique deck, and I love U7 because I played U7 Frieza, and I wanted to love this deck, and I thought it was great that it was something different and special, but now like it needed to go. Good riddance, but now it's just a normal DBS deck, and that just makes me sad. So I feel for you, Legends. Yeah, that's my whole spiel on that.
I mean, it at the end of the day, I think that this whole ban list slash errata list was because it really was like the format on the whole was, as far as results go, the spread was wide. We talked about this a couple weeks, but I think it was more so about game flow and game feel, and like no one has fun playing against Invoker, and like most people who play as Invoker really aren't having that much fun either. If we're keeping it a bit.
Um, I'll give my piece. Not really interested in Invoker. Really just
I
don't.
mean, it's a good like. I'm gonna be real. Like the like Magic style player that I am. Like I've definitely had interest in even picking the deck up myself just because of like it's I get it. It's very like
It was a unique deck.
yeah,
Like
it's very unique and like on its like when you're looking at it, it seems fun. You know what I mean? And like the fact that it's so different, like the idea of it is fun, but in action, in game, it's like you know what I mean. The thing, Like how many times? Like how did you feel? Let me ask you this: every time you get hit by like "we're in this together," you're like, "What the is this? You paid 1 mana for all that?"
Is that the 1 mana board wipe?
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
25k and below. No,
Right.
it does not ignore barrier though.
You like, huh? You sitting there like, what? For who? Wait.
Um,
Uh,
it,
you know,
it literally took the concept of Frieza Prison, and it was just so much better.
oh yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like in Invoker, like usually what I'll do, because the thing Catastrophic Blow did too is that like when you after you played against Invoker a couple times and you understand what game state you're in and what game state they're in, once you get to turn 4, you know there's not shit you could do about the turn 5. So I'm just gonna scoop.
All right.
You just scoop, yeah, you just scoop turn 4. You're just like whatever. So like, you know what I mean? Why would they want to be like, okay, we're gonna, that's the way people feel about the game? Because the turn 2, like it was high rolly, it was sacky. There were outs. You know what I mean? But like them taking away the turn 2 game. And that's why, you're not wrong, Gio. They're going to end up doing something to Baby. You know what I mean? Because the long game where you can't do nothing in the long game, you got to keep the game a game the whole time.
I find it interesting too that I wonder if the Invoker players will take up the new Xeno Shadow Dragon deck. That seems pretty unique, kind of. Uses extra cards and mills people, but I mean, we'll see.
All right. And Noel, your thoughts on the Invoker's errata?
I agree on the interactive part, but I also agree with Will how we have 4 turns to kill them, and they just sit there. But it does feel bad when they figure out a way to bring you down to 4 or 3, and they're like, I'm gonna catastrophic blow you 3 times, you drop, do anything about it. That feels really bad. So I'm okay with this limit 1 errata.
All right.
It's
Thank
really
you,
fair,
Panda.
too, honestly. It doesn't completely, like, you know what I mean? Like, the deck is, like William said, it's not S tier, but, it's still playable / rogue.
Hey man, I will say I put some of these cards on this ban list on the survey a couple times. This was one of them. So
Yeah.
So there you go.
that's,
Thank you
There
for
you go,
ruining
William.
the
If you
deck.
want to blame someone, blame Gio.
hey
Yes.
man, I could be the villain. I mean, I also put Bergamo on the
I
survey a couple
I mean,
times.
you are. I keep telling you. That's what I'm saying. You're shoving it down Bandai's throats, and then they had to poop it
Yeah.
out and then give us the results.
Amen. Amen. But anyway,
All right. All right, William. Thank you for your giving up your piece and everything, and Invoker sucks. Anyway, so this no, if you're no, but don't worry. I know how you feel because the next card we're gonna talk about actually hurts me. And the next card is from set 9, the secret rare Cell Zeno Unspeakable Abomination. Its postal red attacks, it states ultimate, deflect, energy, exhaust, successor, all correct. Well, what's wrong with it? Well, auto, if you have 5 or more energy, when this card is played, choose up to 3 cards in your opponent's hand and discard them. And this card gains quadruple strike and dual attack for the turn.
Yeah.
The reason is that this card's current text greatly limits the design space of green and yellow battle cards, while also creating oppressive early game pressure that can end games on turns 2 or 3. Therefore, they decide to errata this card's power level comparable with other ultimate cards.
I mean, I will say this: the Shin Shenron deck, the control version, could still play turn 5 and get the effect off. So I mean, that's one deck that could still use it.
Yeah. It's honestly, like, it's not. There's a couple things. So, firstly, I'm surprised. I'm I'm happy and surprised that Bandai had the stones to go ahead and go through with this. For one, and for two, I think that what they did was really fair. I think that dropping a free 40K body, if you're playing the turn 2, turn 3 game, that's nothing to sneeze at. And
I keep going. I'll let you finish.
I was gonna say, and like pushing it up to 5, puts it in the same stratosphere as other SCRs.
I will say this: I played the Score Dragon Ball Z game when I was a thing, and the reason that game died is because it was a broken Brawly Secret Rare that just nothing ever happened to it. So it could lend itself to where this helps the game out that they actually did something we never thought that they would.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree 100%. Like, but it's not like the free, like that's the thing too, is that if you're playing that type of aggro deck, right? Like you're gonna have them in like 2 to 3 damage range anyway. So like you getting the body for free and then like throwing like a chompa on it, that's a 50K double, and you paid one for it. So it's really not nothing to sneeze at. They're not they're not gonna get rid of it. You know what I mean? It's gonna be impossible to pop. So like getting it down super early, it's still great. But
Well,
yeah.
it needed to happen.
Yeah. But I don't know that that means that that's what is getting reprinted now. I mean, maybe because it's getting eroded, that gives it more incentive to reprint it when we get the archive booster. So I don't know if that means more that it's going to get reprinted because it needs an errata, or less that it needs reprinted because people don't want it. So, well, it's not that it's even bad. It's just, but you know how it is. We talk about when it comes to like Digimon. People see a nerf, you know what I mean? People just decide like, no, I'm not playing green at all.
I
You
mean
don't, you know what I mean?
that's true, but unlike in that game, they actually try to figure out the problem and solve it. That's one thing that in Dragon Ball that stopped being the case a while ago.
Here's a good question for you
Tell
guys.
that to 75% yellow representation. But
Here's a good
go
question,
on.
guys. So I noticed now, other than the Super Saiyan 3 Secret Rare Gogeta that got errata because it had one of those card text typos, this actually is the first legit card that one of the secrets that actually gets touched around the list where because of its effects, because it gets a little busted from other decks. And
Yeah.
this is like as the closest we ever get from cards to not limited because they're only limited to be playing in a deck, but like ever close to like near the ban list because a lot of us were talking about how this card should be banned because of how stupid it had to be, but instead it just has to have an errata just to prevent itself to be more broken than it needs to be.
Right.
But what are your real thoughts about how close this can ever be with such secret rares like this card can ever to be used in such a way besides being errata like as close as it can ever achieve to become in the ban list for its brokenness
Well,
or
I
whatever.
hope we never hit another secret rare. That there's like a need for that.
Yeah. And secret rare design has changed a lot. Like secret rares now are a lot is part of the game too. Like ape, um, Kai. We got a block. We got two blocker secret rares. Like they're cheap and they're defensive, and they help. Like they can close a game, but usually that's the weaker side of what a secret rare is these days. Usually they help. They're more like fun and keep the game going, and they're like get out of jail free cards, lineage. Like that's more so what the cards are. They're pieces of interaction that are unique and like fun. So like just Cell, I think, is the last of a dying breed where it's just a big dumb boss monster. It just was the best one when they switched styles because it's free.
Oh, okay. All right. Any last words on Cell?
Uh,
Hopefully it goes down and support him now.
Dylan, last
yo.
words. Yes.
So yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that good anymore. I mean, obviously, if you get the 5 energy, it's broken, but like, there's just better secret rares I feel like to play. But this does mean my boy Hatchiak is the best secret in the game now.
No.
Honestly,
Oh
yeah.
man.
Honestly.
Time walk, baby.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry. Is your Hatriak a $5,000 secret rare? No, I don't think so. All right.
Hey
All right.
Dylan, real quick.
What's up?
Speaking about Hatch, is the Black Hatchiac deck rogue or viable going into the new meta?
I tested it. I know two of the guys on the team tested it a good bit. They think it's viable. I thought it was fun. I don't know.
You said Hatchiac's fun. Oh my heart.
Listen. I always talk about Baby Hatch. The actual best secret in the
Oh
game.
okay. Well
Get your
that's
victory
true.
strike shit out of here. But other than that, Yeah, I think the blackjack deck is fine. I don't think it'll be tier 1. Maybe like fringe tier 2.
Alrighty.
I could be wrong.
Moving on.
All right. All right. So this one, God, it's another Geo talk. He's never gonna learn to shut up. It's Vegix, the unsung fusion
Hey!
hero. All right. So it's both his front and back that got errata. So its front text will have it state permanent. You can only play mono black battle cards. Activate main once per turn. Burst 3. Draw a card. Its back effect, activate main once per turn, draw one card, place 3 cards from the top of your deck in your drop area, then choose up to one of your black unison cards and it gains double strike for the turn. The reason? Vegix has demonstrated the ability to produce offensive threats without energy cost and prevents the viability of many other black leader cards. They decided to errata this card to power level comparable with other black leader cards.
5 bands, Bandai, and you still can't kill this guy. He's literally the burning abyss of Dragon Ball Super. He's John Wick. I've tested it with the Burst Street. It's still good. The only thing that this whole errata change is the turn to awaken. It's not a given anymore. Actually, with the list, I was just practicing it, gold fishing, and did about 3 turns with somebody. That was the only difference that I noted. I noted that you could take out some of the more aggressive cards, you don't need the Haru that provides double strike and stuff like that, and go for more defensive cards, or go the Majin Buu IAR is I don't 2 to 4 of the Ravager Vegeta is a definite 4 of, and it's a staple in that deck. You need to have the extra burst 3. Three wasn't enough. That's how many I have in the deck now. I'm gonna up that to 4, but it's interesting because I don't think Dark Brawly's dead either. Getting back on that next, but Vegex is. I mean, for all the people that want to say he's dead, that's fine. The believers will keep him alive. And
You make it sound like a cult.
I mean, he kind of is.
Hey,
I think what you're
tell
saying,
him.
I think
Tell
what you're
him.
saying mostly is that hey, Dark Broly, you got lucky this time, but if you're not careful, your ass is on this list. Errata, limited, or banned. It's coming.
I mean,
I'm gonna be real. I think when it comes, if you talking about Burst 3, Black Leader, Vegex,
I
it's a
still
dog
think
water.
I still think he's the best one, Cam.
I mean, I think being here's a difference there, right? And it's called card advantage. Okay,
Yeah, but
Vegex card advantage.
Zeno Goku is dog water, bro. It's not good.
What are you even talking about? We're talking about
The
drawing cards.
the new reboot Massane leader. If I was gonna play another leader, it'd be that one.
I mean, yeah, I would definitely play reboot BMS over Vegex. I would play Dark BMS from the one.
What, set 5?
Yeah, set 5. I play that, because you're talking that what they offer that Vegex doesn't have compared to them is card advantage. Card
Huh?
advantage, you know what I mean. And to get back to Xenogoku, natural double strike on the leader, not a need to protect the unison. Which, by the way, your RNG is going to be worse on the unison. So there's going to be times where the unison isn't on board, and that double strike on the unison doesn't matter. So constant double strike on your leader, plus 5k for every 8 cards in your warp. So you're talking about basically your leaders. It gets like a free super combo all the time. It's basically got Bibbidi stapled on it.
I could tell you that I drew the unison a lot. Actually, the one guy that didn't actually mill was the Trunks blocker. Actually,
I mean, yeah, but the thing is that gold fishing versus results over time, your RNG over time is 40% worse. You have 40% less mills. So
I mean, that's why you run the 2 cards that I said to burst out the cards.
But you could still run IAR, Revive Ravager, Hatchiyak. You can run all those mill cards the same, and the other Black Saiyan leaders, draw you cards.
Sure, but their matchups against other decks are worse than Vegek's matchup spread?
I mean, why? But here's the question, right? Because we're talking about a new leader, essentially, right? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why is his? So if you believe, right, that their matchups are worse than Vegek's,
Yes.
the question is, what does Vegek's offer that they don't? He doesn't draw cards. He doesn't mill more.
I mean, he just has advantage over time more so than you hoping.
How?
Like the
How?
he just does, dude. It's natural. He gains the advantage.
Well, just saying it
Am
just
I talking about? Hold
doesn't
up, who else
help
is
that
in this
way,
call?
Gio.
I need. What does he mean? He just does. Somebody explain this. He just does. To me.
Okay, how about we get someone else from Gio? If anyone can understand Gio, please do. How about
What
you,
does he just
Willie?
does mean?
How about you, Willie? You go.
Well,
He's
no,
just as
he's
flabbergasted as me.
no, he's not there right now. He's having dinner.
Okay, then
The
Dylan.
thing,
Dylan, how about you? Are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, then
I don't
you
know.
explain. If you
So
understand.
what are we?
it's
What are we talking about?
it's just that the people want the other leaders to be just as good when in reality they're not. Gets these type of conversations, you know.
Yeah. Who's still here with us? Dylan.
Yeah. So all right. My notes on like Vegex for this, like for the errata, is I think he's fine. I don't think he's far and away the best black leader. I think there is room for like Zeno Goku to like be competitive.
I think Vegeks is just worse.
Yeah, it's not like
It's just he
people.
doesn't do shit but mill.
The only argument, in my opinion, for Vegex over the Goku is that you are able to turn one going first, trigger the activate main. Because Goku, if I'm right, he has to do it on attack, right? The first rounds. Yeah.
Correct.
And then like the fact that you can't deck out Vegex. Those are the two like big points for it. I mean, I'm not super in love with it. One of the guys on my team has been playing solely Vegex since he came out and has been grinding events with it. So I know he's still playing the deck. He still thinks it's going to be fine. But every time I look at it, like post errata, it feels okay. Like I'm not like I don't know. Like if I used to compare it to Dredge and Magic, as close as we could get to Dredge, and it doesn't.
Like
it feels like post faceless ban or face. It feels like post faceless looting ban Dredge.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. No. It makes for you talking about like you got to you know what I mean? Like
You have to jump through hoops and like milling 5 is so much more impactful than milling 3.
I'll ask this question for you, Dylan. And
What's up?
I want Dylan to answer this only because I want him to be very neutral. With this
Hello?
comparison of today of the Vegex and how you see it, compare this with the newish Goku Hell card coming out and see your own percentage of how well it will turn out in the game soon when it's released.
The yellow Goku?
Yeah.
All right, so if I understand correctly, I mean, listen, I'm pretty removed from the game, so I could not be correct here. Free playing cards is broken. The reason the Vegex was so good was because you would trigger the mills, get battle cards for free without having to, put any mana towards the reap. Usually, 2 to 3 battle cards every time, including a unison, and then it allows you to set up for like further plays with the overwhelms and shit like that. So like it's the same argument for the Goku deck, is that like you're getting all these battle cards value for free. There's a unison I think you can play for free. Like when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh and your opponents are playing Magic, you're going to be incentivized to win. If I'm playing the Bojack deck and I have to tap mana to summon all my guys, and you're playing a deck that just cheats stuff into play, you're gonna do pretty well, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, the math on that is you open 6 cards, so basically, like it's like Vegeks milling 6.
Yeah,
like stack the top of your deck, like.
Also, drawing 2, like I know the Awakened Side leader draws 2. I don't know if the front side does, but like if you draw 2 cards and rearrange one on top, and then clear that off, like if you clear that top card every time, it's effectively like casting Brainstorm in Magic and then using something to clear the top card, like the top card, so you're not drawing the same cards every time.
Yeah.
You're guaranteeing what you want on top of the deck for your summon effect, and then you're making sure like you can selectively, like if you draw a super combo extra card that you don't want, or like a battle card that's just dead in your hand when you're trying to, combo off and like kill your opponent, you just top deck the card that you don't want, and then you're golden.
Right. I mean, you're basically playing like whereas like Vegex is Dredge, like you're more so in the yellow Goku decks playing like Delver with Ponder.
Yo, 100%. Yo, oh my god. Yes, please make more Magic references. I play Delver.
That's pretty much what yellow. What's going
Yeah,
on there?
this deck feels 1000% like
Although I
Red
guess
Blue
not. I
Delver.
guess where the Delver mechanic, it's more like the new Delver, where you have the Dragon Rage channeler, where you can like pitch the bogus card to the grave, and you know what I mean.
Yep. Oh, 1000%. You're getting the surveil. Like the deck is basically Dragon Rage channeling.
Yeah.
You're getting the surveil triggers and all this stuff. Like, I think the deck is going to be very strong, and if you have any interest in playing yellow next set, you should buy into it relatively quickly while it's still not represented in the format.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Best deck for sure.
I'm good with that. Last words, guys? No? Good? Great? Grand? Wonderful? No yelling in the bus. All right.
Oh, I want to yell. Sorry.
All right. So now, our next card, guys, from set 11, the Majin Quickening. It's activate main. If your leader card is a green Evil Wizard Bobbity card, you have 3 or more energy, and you place this card and 4 other cards under it in your drop area. Play up to 1 green Majin Buu card with an energy cost of 3 from your deck or drop area, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. The reason for it is because Bobbity and Prince Vegeta Destruction, Vegeta Mightiest Majin leader decks can pair this card with the expansion pack card Majin Buu the Shadow Warrior to win the game as early as turn 2 with higher consistency than expected, in order to facilitate less oppressive gameplay if they decided to rot it.
I mean, it makes sense. I hate erratas, but if you're trying to prevent, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think it's the first time I've ever heard / read what that card does. But yeah, if you're trying to prevent degenerate aggro strategies, because like new players don't like that stuff, it makes sense to deal with it, I guess.
Basically, I mean, Gio was saying it earlier. Like your turn 3 is still ridiculously explosive. So, and honestly, like me, when I was building Reboot Gohan and thinking about building Majin Vegeta myself, like in green as a whole, like the setting up the turn 3 kill is like a lot safer and like more guaranteed. So I don't know how much it even hurts the deck at all, to be honest. Like given what green has and what green is, so it's fair. I think for the most part, it's in line with the whole ban list. It's fair, and it's all on theme. They have a theme of wanting turn 2 gone, and pretty much because that's really what it was. Like Vegets and U9 Assemble, right? They didn't necessarily end the game on turn 2 all the time, but like U9 created such an advantage situation where you basically lost as soon as they casted it, right? Vegex, even if it didn't kill you on turn 2, it had created enough advantage on turn 2 through its extra 2 mills, so it's extra 4 mills than any other black deck, that the advantage was already too far gone. You were gonna lose from that. It was just you were just waiting to watch yourself die. It's like playing League of Legends. You lost in the first 10 minutes, but
yeah, your ADC dies like immediately, and you're like, all right, cool, this game's over. Nice.
yeah, pretty much.
Game, set, match. Okay?
I already referenced this, but I do think you could play unisons in the deck now and go back to some of the earlier builds of the deck and play the deck differently, because you can't exactly play it the way it was modeled for turn 2.
Yeah.
Even still, like if you don't kill them, you could play Dormant in the deck. You could play the Green Topo. You could play the Fruiser crit combo to double strike crit in the early game. You could do a lot of different things. The Dark Brawler Unison was also a really cool card in the deck. But you needed to play it on 3 and Awaken on 3, and now that's an actual thing. Maybe people go back to that, but
yeah, because you can stall the game out now that because you can topo on 2, stall that, play that as a defense turn, play the D-Bro, and then Awaken on turn 3. So it's totally a possibility.
yeah. It's just different. You could still play the Majin Buu Secret Rare or the Ape Secret Rare. So
I mean, yes, and if you go to playing the D-Bro, because you know the D-Bro's got so many markers, you can play the new unison now too.
Which one? Oh, the Bibbidi
Here,
or Bobbidi?
yeah, Kibi Tokaibu or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, Spirit Boost 2, steal their unison.
Oh, that secret. My bad. I thought you were talking about the Bobbidi Bibbidi Unison. Yeah, you can play that secret rare as well. That card is
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, like that'll, if you go towards that kind of build, playing like Jabura, looping balls, making them drop their hands, stealing their unison,
I
like
mean, there was a hand destruction build that that played like the Goku Sun is Legend and like Cell Kamehameha and things like that, and just trying to rip your the Toa Overrealm. I mean, there's the Freezer Crit combo is also in that deck. There's lots of ways you could build it. It doesn't have to be just one like turn two kill.
yeah, the
Um,
turbo.
yeah.
All right.
I think it's good. I think the whole format like opens up like because green has had really strong tools, but like as a color, it's been suffering. So like just because the meta relevancy, the curve isn't correct for what the meta allows. It's just like that. Yeah, making it more of a turn 3 and up game helps green out a lot. I think.
Okay. So let's go to our next card. From set 11, it's the backside of the leader, Dark Broly and Pericus the Corrupted. Oh, we're actually getting somewhere juicy. So now its errata effect is activate battle. Once per turn, choose one black battle card with 30,000 power in your hand or battle area and place it in its owner's drop area. This card gets 5,000 power for the battle. The reason for its errata is that the leader limits future design space for 30,000 power black battle cards and has demonstrated oppressive and repetitive gameplay patterns. They decided to errata this card to a power level comparable with other black leader cards while maintaining its playstyle.
Um,
I don't like. I think it's super fair. To be honest, it's not. They didn't really. It's that's all I can say. And I like the leader. I play it a lot.
You're pretty much baffled, aren't you?
Yeah, it's fair. Like I mean, having it be something that I like to play and is nerf. I don't really feel like it cut the legs off. You know.
I feel like it's like I don't know how you play defense. Like I think you need to play more 5K. I think the build just changes. I don't think it stays the
Yeah,
way it
that
is.
too, and that's the thing. We got so many like over the sets we've gained. So we got Broly the Vindicator, we got the red Broly, we got the Gogeta stuff. Like we have so many more 5Ks in the deck now anyway. Um, and I immediately switched to I think the main thing that you can't get away with that I found when I was retooling the build was you got to take a lot of us were cheesing and we were running 3-4 double strike highs. Those had to come out, and I just had to throw into Protector of the Peoples to help me keep my butt alive. I was just testing against Janemba today, and that really was what saved me was the Protector of the People.
All right. Compare this leader now with this errata with Vegix errata. What are your thoughts?
I think it's fairer. I think it's more fair than the Vegex errata. Like I don't know what they could have done to Vegex to make it make more sense.
I mean that was just like if well, we said it here. Like Noel said that a couple of times. It just needs to be burst 3. Like if not, just ban it. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else you could have done to that, honestly. Unless you just don't touch it.
You could remove
Yeah.
the permanent on the back, but
You could, but I mean, but then
let me
why
play.
would you?
Listen, just let me play
Uh-huh.
Janemba, okay?
No.
I want a
So
mill.
But
you want a
I
meal?
think the other thing too is like maybe I don't know what they could have done to Vegex. I personally I mean I hope Geo obviously has a close relationship with the leader and they're gonna have their good old time. It sounds like a lot of the Videl players that I've been or prospective Videl players I've been talking to who think that deck's gonna do something. If you love it, go ahead and do what you do, play it. That's at the end of the day, it's all about having a good time. But from a balance perspective, I don't think that it's very borderline. I don't think Vegex is unplayable, but they were very borderline to getting on them legs and chopping them off. I don't think that they really. I mean, yeah, the defense does kind of suck, but the deck has naturally changed to where you're not running that many zero combo bricks anyway.
I mean, Tag Team Gohan can come back into the deck as well.
No, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get tag team Gohan. And the other thing too is that me personally in my build, another thing too that like helped me is because you're running so much Gogeta stuff. Like the Gogeta targets I run in the deck are the blockers. So I'm running the Dark Broly blocker, which, you know, I only like 2 or 3 copies, but that thing's eternal. You can bring it out whenever you want. And then, you know, I have 4 copies of the Gogeta blocker, which is, you know, pop 1. So I'm always having 2 blockers sit on the board anyway, on top of a bunch of, you know, 5K combos, because that's what the deck has now.
And is this leader with its errata still top tier?
Top tier, I think so. Honestly, I don't see like, because what I mean, Sin, I think Sin's interesting. I mean, for Black, if you're asking me like what else you would want to play, if you're already committed to the deck, if you're already bought in, I mean, unless you're like in your feelings, I don't see a reason why you would say, "Oh, I'm not taking this to an event." I mean, if you want to go buy something new for the new set and try something else, but if you're already comfortable piloting Dark Broly, I don't think it changes your piloting ability that much. I don't think it changes any of the fluidity or the economy of the deck. Your drop and warp manipulation still the exact same. It's just, yeah, you don't have, and yeah, it was a little over its top. The first couple times I played the deck and I was like, oh, like you could combo battle cards in rest mode. Oh, I could send this Ravager on my turn to the drop and then play it and then make them drop another card. Like all the little economy, it's all still there. It's just you can't. There's certain like the fluidity of having the 0-5 the way it was. I think the big thing was, yeah, it allowed us to cheese and run those Champas at a high amount, because that's where the deck was going, was running. That's why a lot of people wanted Champa and Kaiban, because we were running so many of those. Because, you know, as far as we didn't care about a 1+10K combo. So that's all that is.
I just think the Gogeta promo just gets better.
Oh yeah, and that too. Like that card, if they, I mean, I get it. They're not. It's gonna be a while before that card gets hit, but that card's actually kind of out of hand.
Okay. Any last words for the Broly card, Dylan?
I think it seems fine. I think the deck will still be good. The build might change up a little bit, like you guys were saying, like to include more 5Ks and stuff. If not, like if you try to like roll with the current build and stuff, I feel like you're just more susceptible to aggro and asking for your opponent to kick your face in.
Yeah.
But other than that, like once you change up the deck, you're still playing 30Ks for free. Like it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's about card advantage. They did hit your card advantage, but it's not the end of the world.
All right. All right, okay, so we got 2 more to go, and then we're going to call it a night. Our next card, guys, from set 13, Black Smoke Dragon Offering of Destruction. Its postal route attack states from activate main, once per turn, if your leader card is a Black Demon Realm Race card, add a marker to this card. The reason is they decided to errata this card is to avoid unintended interactions with future card designs.
I'm not glad. I don't even know what that card did.
I
had legitimately never read it before.
They did this to prevent some unseen interaction with the deck.
I mean, hold on. Let me. So, what did it do again? I'm gonna guess maybe Shenron. Might have been something with Shenron.
I am not exactly sure. I just know something that drew you cards and you added markers in a specific deck. I've also seen Gogeta Xeno run that card, and I forget why. But
Man, you guys are real geniuses with this card, huh?
I mean, it's just it's to prevent an unseen thing happening and an errata change, and the same thing with the Videl leader. That's just clearing text. But since we covered all the cards,
But no, we haven't covered all the we didn't read Videls yet, dude.
I mean, but that's not in the ban list. That's just clearing an errata.
This is
They
getting read
need
on.
to errata Videl to be an actual leader. That's what they need to do.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read this card. You're gonna talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
and then you're gonna pay me $50. All right, let's go. All right,
Hello?
so we'll just get to it and then finish it up and then give our final quotes. All right, set 14 coming soon to a theater near you. Videl, the town's heroine or heroine. Sorry, I don't know, man. I'm just calling what it is. Auto effect, when this card attacks, draw a card. Choose up to one of your green unison cards in active mode and switch it to rest mode. Then add that card's power to this card's power for the battle. Reason the current text of this card prevents it from being properly played.
I mean, all the text on that card prevents it from being properly played.
Pretty much.
I ain't gonna lie, that thing, I ain't seen a leader that sorry since I can't remember. I really can't.
Alright, Gio, you played this game longer. What card do we feel sorry for in leader?
Mm. It's just an errata cleanup on the text for Vidal. So yeah,
Alrighty then. Now let's go straight to our post-apocalyptic questions or whatever.
I was gonna say so. Blue Baby, Red Brawly are like the two decks that just kind of are look like the biggest winners at the moment from this ban list. That they didn't practically get touched.
Doorman didn't get touched either.
Yeah, but that's more on the green decks that were good, were aggressive ones. They didn't really need to use Dormant. And the Roshi band on the previous list made sure that you couldn't have 8 Dormants. So, I mean, and King Cole doesn't really need to use Dormant. So,
Yeah.
we'll see now that once there's other green decks, maybe Green Gotenks comes back, as obnoxious as that would be. But I think Blue Baby's probably the biggest winner, unfortunately,
Yeah.
Yes.
of this whole ban list.
I love cancer.
But
I'm
my
about it.
my biggest thing is will this ban list make it that best of threes are impossible to do in an hour?
All right.
That's a good question, actually.
Well, that depends on
I
like
think that
which.
comes down to player skill, man. We said earlier, I work in a card shop. I judge a local. Like, I watch all these players go
Judge,
into time who just
judge,
shouldn't be.
judge.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. No, I don't know. I watch people go like playing aggro mirrors going into time. There's a guy who plays baby. Like, you guys, like, you can play these decks fast. You just like it's just a skill thing. Like, baby mirrors, control mirrors, sure, yeah, those can go into time. But like, I don't know. I play a lot of Control of Magic, or I've played a lot of Control of Magic. Like, I wasn't going into time playing those decks. Like, it's just one of those things that like you shouldn't be going into time. As long as you know what your deck does and your opponent doesn't slow play you because you're an asshole, like you should be good. An
I
hour is perfectly reasonable time to play 3 games.
I agree with you. I also think it's not just because of player skills. I think it's also based on like how the player's decks runs. Besides, like they have to run a similar list like everyone else. Some of them like to add a lot of tech cards to help their deck work in a way that they can understand and have a way to get them to victory. And whatever decks they have to go up against, depending on the player, depending on their decks, depending on what cards they're going to provide to be used, it really does take the fundamental of how it works on in a game, depending on how long it takes on the first game, the second, and the third. If there is a third by the time, depending on how well that player does, if they try to go 2-0 in a tournament base and to go to the next round. And it really takes really effect to like how a ban list can provide to do against new decks that might take top tier, or current decks that are trying to stay top tier, but they're trying to find new ways to stay at the same level, but they won't be at what they used to be. So it really does take a lot on what the players do, and so it really, really pretty much does the same thing that you do in every other card game. You find new ways, you make a deck, or you play this deck, or you continue playing the deck you start working on, find a solution, find a way to make it continue on, and it might not be the end of the world until probably the deck finally gets hit, and then you start moving on to the next one. That's then with
I mean, I think like part of what makes the games go longer too is the fact that like aggro in this game is like all combo aggro. So like combo, I think, is more than anything what makes games go long, not so much control. So, like, it's just taking a lot of sequences and steps versus like we're getting more towards like I think that's what Unison of Block as a whole wanted is that like Unisons were conceptualized like most of them were all 2-drops to start. So it's just like here's a strong 2-drop that does its thing well. You know, they're basically magic cards. You pay the 2 energy, it does this really good thing that has a lot of good value instead of like DBS has a little bit of that Yu-Gi-Oh, well, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh to it, where it's like you pay or don't pay for this thing. It grabs this thing, it draws that card, it goes and you know what I mean. There's all the different sequences to it. So maybe making it less of a turn 2 game might kind of speed it up because it's just like paying your energy, getting your good value, and going.
All
But
right.
Blue Baby, yeah, Blue Baby about to be toxic. We gonna get back to that little top. Blue Baby, BoJack,
Yeah, blue. I think blue in general is going to be really well represented, and people just, I don't think, haven't realized it. I saw some talk on the discussion group because, like, if you notice, like, Galactic Buster started going up in price. It's no longer $5; it's $15 now. Like, that card is not okay.
yeah, 0 energy for anything is never okay.
Yeah,
It's a-okay.
Like,
All right.
so
I do
for
have
Galactic,
one final question, gentlemen, before
go
we
on,
come
go
to an end. After discussing and reviewing this entire banned errata list, do you still think that this type of list around can still be effective if you would do a rotation in some ways, or are we going to just continue providing in such a manner of how we're going to have the same vibes with every player being disappointed or hyped in a way with certain cards being touched with this list, and rotation is still not going to be the main topic, which Dragon Ball should probably provide to do, since I feel like this game needs to do a rotation to move on to a next circuit of ideas based on effects or strategies that they need to be useful depending on the player base. Your thoughts.
so if you don't mind me jumping in first,
Oh, go ahead.
I have always been a big
Um,
proponent of rotation, at least in this game. I think we should have a rotation, but I also believe we should have a true eternal format where, like, we could have, like, the Unison Warrior block was the greatest, like, tee up for us to have a rotation and just do Unison Warrior block, and then have a modern or legacy style of, like, format where, like, you can play these decks. There's still a ban list and this and that. Like, they set it up so well and they just never did it. But I think there's a lot of apprehension towards rotation, but I think we honestly could and maybe even should have one.
I mean, they buy the sets like Battle Evolution, this Unison Warrior block, the Store Championships having a set format block. Like they're trying to see if it could sneak it in there, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
was gonna say
the
that's what
battle
they're
evolution
doing.
sets could serve as like a core set in Magic, where like you reprint Sensibine and stuff that's essential. That way, like they stay in the standard formats. That way, people aren't like, oh man, they banned. I can't play Sensibine. Why would I play this? Like crap like that.
I mean, that's true. I think Store Championship was an interesting like concept, and I haven't really heard too much. I feel like ever since set 12 was around when Store Championship format kind of died. But like the first I remember 10 and 11, like everyone was really hyped for it and getting into it despite. I want to say that was around the time that the pandemic had kicked off, but a lot of people were really into Store Champ. And the way that they've been, engaging in card design has been really good, especially I think for that purpose. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too mad. I think Store Champ, like the way they do those little side formats, because what was the other thing they did? They did I remember there was Power Booster format, like that was basically its own format. Like
Yeah, like the game's already in a pseudo, like it's a pseudo rotation, right? Like how many leaders from like 3 sets ago are still like viable and stuff like that? Like there's no leader from set 5 tearing up the game anymore. Like we're basically in a rotation. Just embrace it, and then power up stuff for a modern or legacy format. Like if we have a true like eternal format, I think there's an argument you can make for unbanning original SS3, but like fixing it a little bit. Like if you have that high powered format and then a regular format where like I think it's doable.
I mean, because right now we're still. I think a lot of it too is like they're learning about the game as they design it, and I think kind of like because at the end of the day, right, where we've gotten with this Banlist is they're transitioning the turning point of the game from turn 2 to turn 3, and that's really where the turning point is for like modern format. Like modern format, the game is pretty much like that's the turning point. You're basically you either win or lose there. Like you might not die on the spot. You can pretty much win or lose there, and if you get out, you get out. It's RNG blessed you. If you even have something that's built in a way that can take advantage of that kind of top deck. So,
yeah, like modern typically, I'd say modern sport turn 3, turn 4 with the tendency that some decks could kill you on turn 2. Like if Amulet Titan opens up the perfect combination, like Azusa double Titan or double Amulet and bounce that Titan, they kill you turn 2 without any problem.
yeah,
but
I think DBS.
We need a deck like that.
I think at its core, it's trying to be modern, like in terms of like the game.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad. It's not a bad place to be. I think. I don't think that a modern tempo / modern flow of game is. It works. People enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like modern's one of the most solid like older formats from any game. Yu-Gi-Oh has mass exodus like every other year. Everybody quits it every other year. And
yep.
like DBS
I hate that game.
got his ebb and flow. Yeah, it's something it's a love-hate relationship. It's very hot and cold. It's volatile, but beautiful at the same time for what it is. I can't.
It's like a dumpster on fire. It's bad, but you can't stop looking at it.
Not at all. Yeah, you can't.
They'll always come back.
Like that's the thing too, is that if they tried to make it, it's just the core of the design, right? We talked on here before about how like everyone likes GOAT, but if you really think about GOAT, like it's kind of like we talked about before, like the game's decided on turn 1 or 2. If you open Delinquent Duo or Pod Agreed, like you pretty much win on the spot.
Yeah, it's so hard to come back from that.
Yeah, so so where it's at now, where like it's a shootout and it's like hand trap, negate, like all this crazy stuff. Like it's basically an RNG or RPG at this point with cards. It's Final Fantasy.
Exactly. Alright guys, so I guess we're going to go ahead and call it a night. I do want to thank everyone for joining here, and thank Noel for wherever the hell you drive into. I'm glad he's always there every time. I want to thank, of course, William for joining on the show. If he's still around, probably eating his dinner. I do thank Dylan for being our fellow judge and coming to the show, being neutral and balanced with his conversation.
Always, man. Always down to be on the show.
I always thank Cameron G for once again being the man. To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Hey, I owe you something real quick. I owe you something. 5 times. There's your other 2.
There.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and of course, Giovanni for giving all his in where the hell he loves to say, because he loves giving out everything to Bandai. Hear him out, Bandai. He loves the talk.
Wait, I forgot you said the Bandai listens to this or has listened to this.
You do realize that Bandai just heard Williams' discussion on Invoker, right?
Yes.
So
I don't even remember what he said.
I don't remember either.
You'll hear everything when you listen to this episode. I ain't changing anything, Gio. There's no editing. No, sorry.
I mean, the thing is that we have always said we want honesty, and people to be passionate about what they believe in on these things.
We just don't want to be too honest. Like how Noel does it.
Oh, well, being honest and being brutally blunt honest, those are two different things.
Alright, good luck having
I don't
fun
know what
to
you're
tell him
talking
that then.
about.
And of course, I'm here to say adieu, farewell, having to say goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang.
Yeah.
Well, this is Fortune Striker, signing off.